The Calrix fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. Ambassador Vex Thor stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the blue planet appear on the screens. His scaled fingers tapped against the command console as he studied the primitive orbital stations surrounding the human homeworld. They barely left their own planet, his military advisor Rathkor said, examining the tactical display. 10 years of slow expansion. A few colonies on nearby worlds. Their ships are outdated by our standards. Vex Thor nodded. The Calrix Consortium had encountered hundreds of species like this. Young civilizations that stumbled into faster-than-light travel, thinking they had achieved something remarkable. They never understood how far behind they truly were. The consortium would offer protection, technology, and access to galactic markets. In return, these primitive species would provide resources and accept their proper place in the cosmic order. Send the diplomatic message, Vex Thor ordered. Standard terms. We will be generous. Millions of kilometers away. Lieutenant Commander Park Min-jun watched the alien fleet from Earth's orbital defense station. His dark eyes studied the 30 ships that had appeared without warning. They moved with casual confidence, broadcasting their presence openly across all frequencies. They did not act like invaders preparing for battle. They acted like landlords arriving to collect rent. Park opened a communication channel to Earth's surface. Defense Command. This is Station 7. The Calrix have arrived. They are requesting a diplomatic meeting. To Park. DMS. To Park. The response came quickly. Acknowledged. Station 7. The Unified Council is convening now. Monitor their movements, but take no action. Park leaned back in his chair, watching the alien ships position themselves in a loose formation. They had performed surface scans of Earth, Mars, and the asteroid colonies. Their sensors had mapped humanity's defenses. Park wondered what conclusions they had drawn from that data. He wondered if they had seen everything they thought they had seen. In Geneva, Earth's Unified Council gathered in emergency session. Holographic displays showed the Calrix fleet from multiple angles. Defense Minister Choi Hae-jin stood before the assembly, her expression calm despite the tension in the room. They call themselves the Calrix Consortium, she explained. Our intelligence suggests they control over 200 star systems. They have contacted us before through long-range communication, offering trade and protection. Now they have arrived in person to formalize terms. Oh, what kind of terms? Asked the council chairman. Minister Choi activated another display, showing the previous communications. They want access to our raw materials. They want biological data on human genetics. They want to establish observers in our space and limit our expansion beyond specific boundaries. In return, they offer technology transfers and protection from hostile species. That sounds reasonable, one council member said. We need advanced technology. We need allies. They are not offering alliance, Minister Choi said quietly. They are offering subordination. Every species that accepts these terms becomes a client state of the consortium. They lose sovereignty over their own development. The council chamber fell silent. The chairman looked at the display, showing the Calrix fleet. Do we have any alternative? Minister Choi smiled slightly. Yes, we do. But we need to let them believe we are weak a little longer. 2 days later, the diplomatic meeting took place aboard the Calrix flagship. Ambassador Lee Sang-woo led the human delegation, dressed in formal attire that looked primitive compared to the Calrix environmental suits. Vex Thor greeted them with exaggerated courtesy. The kind, powerful beings show to those they consider inferior. The meeting room was large and intimidating, designed to make visitors feel small. Vex Thor sat elevated above the human delegation, looking down at them physically as well as figuratively. Holographic contracts floated in the air, written in Calrix standard format. These are generous terms, Vex Thor said, his translator converting his clicking speech into human language. The consortium, protects over 300 species. You will have access to markets and technology beyond your current understanding. All we ask is cooperation. Ambassador Lee read through the terms carefully. Humanity would provide resources at fixed prices determined by the consortium. Earth would accept technology only through approved channels. Human expansion would stop at current boundaries. Calrix observers would monitor all human activities to ensure compliance. Any disputes would be settled by consortium arbitration. These terms make Earth a resource colony, Lee said calmly. Vex Thor's expression changed slightly. He was not accustomed to resistance from primitive species. You misunderstand the nature of galactic civilization. Young species need guidance. The consortium provides structure and safety. Without us, you are vulnerable to exploitation by less benevolent powers. We appreciate your concern, Lee replied, but humanity must decline your offer. The room went silent. Rathkor leaned forward, his warrior instincts alert. Vex's Thor's scaled face showed genuine surprise. In 2 centuries of expansion, only 3 species had refused initial terms. 2 of those species had reconsidered after demonstrations of consortium military power. The 3rd had been conquered by a rival empire and later absorbed into the consortium anyway. You are refusing protection? Vex Thor asked carefully. You understand what exists in this galaxy? There are empires that would strip your world for resources, pirates that would enslave your population, disasters that would destroy your civilization. The consortium offers safety from all of this. Ambassador Lee stood, gathering the human delegation. We believe in ensuring our own safety. If the consortium wishes to establish equal diplomatic relations, we would welcome such discussions. But we will not accept terms that compromise Earth's sovereignty. Vex Thor watched the humans leave, his mind already calculating the next steps. They were brave or foolish. Either way, they would learn that refusing the consortium was not truly an option. He gestured to Rathkor. Increase our fleet presence, he ordered. Show them what power looks like. They will reconsider. Back on the orbital station, Park received the report from the diplomatic meeting. He opened a secure channel to a classified facility deep in the asteroid belt. Begin final preparations, he transmitted. They will push harder now. We need to be ready. In the darkness beyond Mars, something massive began to wake from its long silence. The Calrix response came within hours. More ships arrived through faster-than-light jumps, swelling their fleet to over 40 vessels. They positioned themselves near human colonies and trade routes like predators surrounding prey. Their sensors swept through human space constantly, mapping every station, every ship, every defensive position. Commander Park watched from his orbital station as Calrix warships took positions uncomfortably close to civilian traffic lanes. They were not attacking, but their presence was a clear threat. Any cargo ship leaving Earth now passed within weapons range of alien vessels. The message was obvious. Humanity existed only because the Calrix permitted it. They are running deep scans of our facilities, Park's sensor officer reported. They are mapping everything. Park nodded slowly. The Calrix were thorough. Their scans would show Earth's defensive fleet, outdated compared to consortium standards. They would see the orbital weapons platforms, decades behind galactic technology. They would observe the small colony ships, struggling to establish mining operations in the asteroid belt. Everything would confirm their initial assessment. Humanity was weak and unprepared. That was exactly what Park wanted them to see. On Earth, Minister Choi stood before the Unified Council again. Some members were frightened by the Calrix buildup. Others argued for accepting terms before the situation escalated into violence. The debate had continued for 3 days, and patience was wearing thin. We should negotiate, one council member insisted. They have 40 warships. We have 12 defense vessels. This is not a fight we can win. Minister Choi waited for the room to quiet. Then she activated a classified display, one that only the highest levels of Earth's government had seen. The hologram showed a facility hidden deep in the asteroid belt, camouflaged among thousands of mining operations. And within that facility, something enormous rested in the darkness. 10 years ago, when we achieved faster than light travel, we made a decision, she explained. We knew we would not be alone in the universe. We knew that first contact could be dangerous. So while we showed the galaxy outdated colony ships and struggling expansion, we invested everything else into a single project. The council members stared at the hologram. Some had heard rumors. None had seen proof until now. This is Protocol Titan, Minister Choi continued. It is our insurance policy. And it is almost time to reveal it. Ambassador Vex Thor grew more frustrated each day. The humans had not responded to his diplomatic messages. They had not reconsidered their refusal. Instead, they seemed to be ignoring the consortium entirely, going about their business as if 40 warships meant nothing. He decided to escalate. Calrix soldiers boarded a human cargo vessel, claiming they needed to inspect for contraband. The human crew protested, but could not resist. The Calrix found nothing illegal, but that was not the point. The point was demonstrating who held power. More incidents followed. Calrix ships established security zones in human space without permission. They forced human vessels to change course. They took resource samples from asteroid colonies, claiming they needed to verify mineral quality for future trade. Each action pushed boundaries, testing how much humans would tolerate. On the orbital station, Park received reports of each incident. His crew wanted to respond, to drive the aliens back. But Park ordered restraint. Not yet. The timing had to be perfect. Finally, Vex Thor sent an ultimatum directly to Earth's government. The message was broadcast openly, ensuring the entire galaxy could witness it. The Calrix Consortium has been patient. We have offered generous terms. We have provided time for consideration. That time has ended. Earth will accept standard client status within the consortium. Or we will implement terms unilaterally. You have 24 hours to comply. The message caused chaos across human space. Civilian populations panicked. Some colonies called for immediate surrender. Defense forces went on high alert, knowing their outdated ships could not win a direct conflict. Earth's communication networks overflowed with fear and anger. Ambassador Lee requested one final meeting with Vex Thor. The Calrix ambassador agreed, confident that the humans were ready to submit. He brought Commander Rothkor with him to emphasize the military reality they faced. They met in the same room as before, but the atmosphere had changed. Lee no longer looked diplomatic and polite. He looked tired and determined. Ambassador Vex Thor, Lee began. I have been authorized to make one final statement. The Unified Council of Earth formally demands that all Calrix forces withdraw from human space within 24 hours. Vex Thor stared at the human, uncertain if he had heard correctly. Then he began to laugh. Rothkor joined in, the sound harsh and mocking. A demand? From these primitives? You are in no position to make demands, Vex Thor said when his laughter subsided. You have no leverage. You have no power. Lee stood slowly. We gave you every opportunity to negotiate fairly. We offered partnership and cooperation. You chose intimidation and exploitation instead. That was a mistake. Ambassador, you assumed our weakness was real. It was not. It was camouflage. Vex Thor's laughter died. Something in the human's voice had changed. There was certainty there, a confidence that made no logical sense given the military situation. You are bluffing, Vex Thor said, but doubt crept into his tone. In 24 hours, you will know the truth. Lee replied. He turned and walked from the room, leaving the Calrix in confused silence. Commander Rothkor immediately ordered increased scans of human space. Something felt wrong. But the tactical displays showed the same outdated defenses, the same weak infrastructure. There was nothing new. Nothing that could challenge consortium military superiority. They are desperate, Hrothgar assured Vex Thor, making empty threats before accepting reality. We should ignore this posturing, but Vex's Thor was not certain. He had dealt with many species over his long career. He understood the difference between desperate bluffing and genuine confidence. The human ambassador had shown confidence. The Calrix fleet moved into attack formation around Earth. 40 warships, each one capable of devastating a planet's surface. They powered their weapons systems, making their threat visible to every sensor in human space. The deadline approached, and the Calrix prepared to demonstrate the consequences of refusing the consortium. Commander Park sat on the bridge of his orbital station, watching the countdown timer. Around him, his crew worked in tense silence. They knew what was coming. They had been preparing for this moment for 10 years. Signal from Defense Command, his communication officer reported. Authorization code confirmed. Protocol Titan is active. Park took a deep breath. He opened a secure channel to the hidden facility in the asteroid belt. The facility he had visited many times during its construction. The facility that held humanity's secret, humanity's gamble, humanity's hope. This is Commander Park Min-jun, he transmitted. Authorization confirmed. Begin revelation sequence. Authorization. 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 Sequence. Authorization. In the asteroid belt, massive camouflage systems began to power down. Holographic projections that had hidden the facility for a decade flickered and died, and something vast began to move. Emerging from its hiding place into the light of the sun, on the Calrix flagship, alarms suddenly screamed. The sensor officer on the Calrix flagship stared at his displays in disbelief. Commander, we are detecting massive gravitational anomalies from the asteroid belt. Energy readings are. This cannot be correct. Hrothgar moved to the sensor station, his warrior instincts alert. The readings showed something enormous moving through the debris field. Power signatures beyond anything in their database. Spatial distortions that indicated propulsion systems more advanced than standard, faster than light drives. Visual confirmation, he ordered. The main screen shifted, showing the asteroid belt. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Then the stars themselves appeared to ripple and bend. Something was displacing space as it moved. Something so massive that it affected the fabric of reality around it. The camouflage systems finally dropped completely, and the Prometheus revealed itself. 8 kilometers of purpose-built warship emerged from hiding. Its hull was dark, absorbing light rather than reflecting it, covered in materials that should not exist according to known physics. Weapon ports lined its surface like the scales of a massive predator. Energy crackled along its length as systems powered up for the first time at full capacity. The Prometheus was not just a ship, it was a statement. It was humanity's answer to a galaxy that had expected them to be weak. Impossible, Vex Thor whispered, staring at the screen. Where did this come from? How did they build this? On the bridge of the Prometheus, Commander Park stood at his new station. He had transferred from the orbital platform to take command of the vessel he had helped design. Around him, hundreds of crew members worked with practiced precision. They had trained for this moment in secret, running simulations in hidden facilities, preparing for the day they would reveal Earth's true capabilities. All systems operating at optimal levels, the chief engineer reported. Weapons charged, shields active. Propulsion ready. Park opened a communication channel that would broadcast across all frequencies, ensuring both the Calrix fleet and the wider galaxy would receive his message. This is Commander Park Min-jun of the Earth Unified Defense Force, speaking from the Titangent-class warship Prometheus. For 10 years, humanity has appeared weak to the galaxy. That appearance was deliberate. While we showed you outdated colony ships and struggling expansion, we invested everything into developing true defensive capability. The Prometheus represents that investment. It is not alone. On cue, 2 more gravitational signatures appeared from different vectors. The Defiance emerged from behind Mars, where it had been hiding in orbital synchronization with the planet's rotation. The Vigilance appeared from beyond Jupiter, having used the gas giant's massive gravity well to mask its presence. 3 Tangent-class warships now faced the Calrix fleet. Each one was a match for anything known to galactic civilization. Together, they represented a complete reshaping of the power balance. Rothkor ran combat calculations, his hands shaking slightly. The results were disturbing. Each Titan carried enough firepower to destroy his entire fleet. Their shields operated on principles that his weapons might not be able to penetrate. Their armor incorporated materials that his scanners identified as theoretically impossible. "How did we miss this?" he demanded. "We scanned their facilities. We mapped their resources. Where did they get the technology for this?" Vex Thor had no answer. He was remembering the human ambassador's words. Camouflage. They had hidden their true development behind a facade of weakness. While the Calrix had been congratulating themselves on discovering another primitive species, humanity had been preparing for exactly this scenario. Commander Park continued his broadcast. "Many species in this galaxy assume that young civilizations need guidance from older powers. They assume that primitive appearance equals primitive capability. Humanity has learned from our own history that such assumptions are dangerous. We chose to reveal our strength only when necessary. That moment has arrived." He paused, letting the image of the 3 Tangent-class warships sink in across every viewing screen in the Calrix fleet. "We did not receive this technology from anyone. We built it ourselves. We studied everything we could learn about galactic engineering, and then we pushed beyond those limits. The Titans are the result of focused human innovation, determination, and the collective will of our entire species to never be subjugated." Minister Choi watched from Earth's command center as the revelation unfolded. Around her, the unified council members sat in stunned silence. Some had known about Protocol Titan, most had only heard vague references. Seeing the warships fully revealed, watching them move through space with power that dwarfed the Calrix fleet, was overwhelming. "We kept this from our own people," one council member said quietly. "Was that necessary? Was that necessary?" "Yes," Minister Choi replied. "If our civilian population had known, the secret would have leaked. The Calrix would have learned about the Titans during construction, when we were most vulnerable. Secrecy was the only way to ensure we could complete the project before revealing it." On the Calrix flagship, Vex Thor received an emergency communication from the Consortium Council. They had been monitoring the situation, watching the human broadcast along with the rest of the galaxy. Their instructions were clear. Do not engage. Assess the situation. Determine human intentions and capabilities before taking any action. Vex Thor opened a channel to the Prometheus. "Commander Park, this is Ambassador Vex Thor. We need to discuss this development." Park's face appeared on the screen, calm and professional. "Ambassador, there is nothing to discuss except your immediate withdrawal from human space. You came to negotiate from a position of assumed superiority. That assumption was false. We will accept nothing less than equal status with any galactic power. You have 3 ships, Vex Thor said carefully. Impressive ships. Yes, but the consortium controls hundreds of systems and thousands of vessels. You cannot fight the entire galaxy. We do not wish to fight anyone, Park replied. But we will, if forced to defend our sovereignty. The 3 Titans you see are operational. 4 more are under construction. How many would you like us to complete before you accept that humanity is not a species to be exploited? Rothkor wanted to test the human claims. He suggested firing on one of the Titans to assess its defensive capabilities. But Vex Thor stopped him. That action could trigger full conflict, and the Consortium Council had forbidden engagement until they understood what they were facing. Park demonstrated one of the Titangent-class weapon systems, not aimed at the Calrix but at a large asteroid far from any shipping lanes. The Prometheus fired a graviton pulse, a weapon that manipulated space itself. The asteroid collapsed inward, crushed by its own suddenly increased gravity, then exploded as the effect released. The entire sequence took 3 seconds. Our weapons do not simply damage targets, Park explained. They unmake them. We based our designs on principles we learned from studying black hole physics. Every Titan carries 12 primary graviton weapons and hundreds of secondary systems. Additionally, we have developed kinetic impactors, plasma lances, and defensive technologies that can redirect incoming fire into subspace. The demonstration had its desired effect. Across the galaxy, species that had been watching the confrontation began reassessing their understanding of humanity. The Calrix were not the only ones who had assumed Earth was primitive and weak. Now, everyone knew that assumption had been wrong. Minister Choi broadcast a message that would be heard on thousands of worlds. Earth seeks peaceful coexistence with all species. We desire trade, cultural exchange, and cooperation in facing common challenges. But we will never accept subordination. We will never allow our sovereignty to be compromised. Any species willing to treat humanity as equals will find us generous partners. Any species that believes we can be intimidated should consider what you have witnessed today. In the darkness of space, the 3 Titangent-class warships held position. Their presence transforming human civilization from a minor curiosity into a significant galactic power. The Calrix fleet remained in formation, uncertain how to proceed, and Commander Park waited patiently for their response, knowing that everything depended on what happened next. The standoff stretched into its second week. The Calrix fleet maintained its position around Earth, but their aggressive posture had changed to wary observation. The 3 Titangent-class warships patrolled human space, their sensors tracking every alien vessel. Neither side had fired weapons, but the tension remained heavy. News of the confrontation spread across the galaxy faster than light. Species that had never heard of Earth suddenly took interest in the humans who had hidden advanced warships for a decade. Diplomatic channels buzzed with speculation, analysis, and concern. The Vrin Collective, a democratic alliance of 12 species, sent a message of congratulation and interest in establishing formal relations. The Hawkish Empire, known for aggressive expansion, warned humanity about disrupting established galactic order. Independent trading systems reached out, exploring potential commerce opportunities. Earth had become diplomatically significant overnight. Ambassador Vex Thor received new instructions from the Consortium Council every few hours. The leadership was divided. Some wanted to withdraw and reassess. Others pushed for a military solution before humanity could complete more Titangent-class vessels. A few suggested negotiating actual equal terms, something the Consortium had never done with a species this young. Vex Thor knew his career depended on handling this correctly. He could not appear weak, but he also could not trigger a conflict the Consortium might not win. The uncertainty gnawed at him. For 2 centuries, the Consortium had expanded through predictable patterns. This situation was new territory. Commander Park stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, reviewing intelligence reports. The Calrix had attempted to scan the asteroid belt facilities multiple times, trying to learn how many Titans existed and how quickly Earth could produce them. Each attempt had been blocked by the Defiance, which moved to intercept any unauthorized approach. They want information, Park's intelligence officer said. They are trying to calculate if they can win a sustained conflict. Park nodded. Let them wonder. Uncertainty is our advantage right now. On Earth, Minister Choi met with Ambassador Lee to plan their next move. They sat in a secure conference room, away from the Unified Council's constant debates. The revelation of the Titans had shocked humanity as much as it had shocked the Calrix. Citizens demanded explanations. Some felt betrayed by the secrecy. Others celebrated the protection the warships provided. The Consortium will send negotiators soon, Lee predicted. They cannot maintain this standoff forever. It makes them look weak to the rest of the galaxy. When they come, we need to be ready with actual terms, Choi replied. Not demands, but a framework for genuine cooperation. We proved we cannot be bullied. Now we need to prove we can be reasonable partners. The breakthrough came from an unexpected direction. A Calrix scout ship attempted to approach the hidden construction facilities in the outer asteroid belt. The Defiance intercepted, blocking its path. For several minutes, the two ships faced each other in tense silence. Then, the scout ship powered its weapons, either testing human resolve or making a terrible mistake. The Defiance did not fire. Instead, it activated a defensive system the Calrix had never seen. The scout ship's weapons discharge was caught in a spatial distortion field and redirected harmlessly into empty space. The scout ship found itself unable to move, trapped in a localized gravity well. Park received the report immediately. Release them, he ordered. But make sure they understand the warning. The Defiance held the scout ship for exactly 1 minute, demonstrating complete control. Then it released the gravity well and withdrew. The message was clear. The Titans could capture enemy vessels without destroying them. They could control space itself. Vex's Thor watched the recording of the incident, his scales pale with stress. The humans had shown mercy when they could have destroyed the scout ship. But they had also demonstrated another capability the consortium had not anticipated. How many more surprises did Earth have hidden? He made a decision. Waiting for the Consortium Council to reach consensus would take weeks. By then, the situation might escalate beyond control. He requested a direct meeting with Commander Park and Ambassador Lee, this time aboard the Prometheus itself. Park agreed, with one condition. Vex's Thor and his military commander Rathkor would come alone, without guards or weapons. They would see the Titanian-class warship firsthand, experience its capabilities, and understand exactly what they faced. The Calrix shuttle approached the Prometheus slowly, dwarfed by the massive warship. Vex Thor and Rathkor were transported aboard, passing through security systems that scanned them at molecular levels. They walked through corridors that seemed to stretch forever, seeing hundreds of human crew members working with military precision. The bridge was enormous, a command center that could coordinate an entire fleet. Holographic displays showed tactical data, resource management, and communications networks. Everything suggested a military culture that had prepared for this moment with obsessive thoroughness. Park greeted them formally. Welcome aboard the Prometheus, Ambassador. Thank you for agreeing to meet. We need to discuss terms, Vex Thor said, trying to maintain diplomatic composure despite being overwhelmed by the ship's scale. Then let us begin with honesty, Park replied. He gestured to a conference room adjacent to the bridge. Ambassador Lee was already there, along with Minister Choi participating via holographic link from Earth. Lee presented Earth's requirements. Full recognition of human sovereignty. Trade agreements based on mutual benefit, not exploitation. Technology exchanges at equivalent value. Equal rights to expansion and colonization. Establishment of embassies on both sides. No interference in internal affairs. Shared intelligence about galactic threats. These are equal terms, Vex Thor observed. The consortium has never granted such status to a species this young. Then perhaps the consortium needs to reconsider its policies, Minister Choi said, from her holographic projection. Or perhaps you need to recognize that humanity is not as young as you assumed. End quote. Rathkor, who had been silent, finally spoke. We need to understand your capabilities. How did you develop this technology? Where did you learn to build Titangent-class warships? Park considered how much to reveal. Humanity has a violent history, Commander. We fought wars with each other for thousands of years before achieving unity. That experience taught us hard lessons about innovation under pressure. When we achieved faster-than-light travel and realized we were not alone, we understood we needed to prepare for every possibility. He activated a display showing Earth's history, carefully edited to show human conflict and technological progress. We studied everything we could learn about galactic engineering. We salvaged technology from ancient debris fields. We reverse-engineered alien artifacts we found in our own solar system, evidence of previous visitors. And we applied human creativity to push beyond known limits. It was a partial truth. Park did not mention every detail, every breakthrough, every secret that had made the Titans possible. But he gave enough information to make their achievement believable. "How many Titans can you produce?" Rothkor asked. "As many as necessary to defend Earth," Park replied. "Our construction facilities use modular systems. We can scale production rapidly if required. But we would prefer not to. Building warships is expensive and takes resources from peaceful development. We would rather establish trade relationships than arms races." Vexthor studied the humans carefully. They were offering cooperation, but from a position of strength. The consortium could not simply impose terms anymore. If they wanted access to Earth's resources and potential as trading partners, they would need to negotiate fairly. "I will recommend to the Consortium Council that we accept these terms," Vexthor said finally. "But I cannot guarantee their agreement. This represents a significant change in policy." "We understand," Lee replied. "But Ambassador, consider this. The galaxy is watching how the consortium handles this situation. If you attack Earth and struggle, you appear weak. If you negotiate fairly, you maintain stability and gain a valuable partner. Which outcome benefits the consortium more?" The meeting ended without final resolution, but both sides understood the standoff was nearing its conclusion. Vexthor and Rathkor returned to their flagship, carrying detailed observations about the Prometheus and new respect for human capabilities. Commander Park watched their shuttle depart, then turned to his crew. "Maintain alert status. They will test us again before accepting terms. Be ready." The Titans continued their patrol, silent guardians, ensuring humanity negotiated its future from strength rather than weakness. And in the asteroid belt, construction crews worked on the fourth Titangent-class warship, because Earth understood that security required constant vigilance. 3 weeks after the Titans revealed themselves, the Consortium Council reached its decision. Vexthor received the message in his private quarters aboard the flagship, reading it twice to ensure he understood correctly. The Council had authorized him to accept Earth's terms with only minor modifications. The decision had not been easy. Internal debates had raged across consortium space. Conservative factions argued that accepting equal status for humanity would encourage other species to resist incorporation. Progressive voices countered that flexibility demonstrated strength, not weakness. Ultimately, practical concerns won. The consortium could not afford prolonged conflict with an unknown military capability, especially with other galactic powers watching carefully. Vexthor scheduled the signing ceremony for neutral space between Earth and Mars. The location was symbolic, far enough from Earth to show humanity was willing to meet halfway, but within their defensive perimeter to demonstrate their continued vigilance. On Earth, preparations began for the most important diplomatic event in human history. The ceremony would be broadcast across the galaxy, watched by hundreds of species curious about the outcome. Earth's leadership chose their representatives carefully. Ambassador Lee would sign the treaty. Commander Park would attend in full military uniform, representing Earth's defensive capability. Minister Choi would address the assembled powers, explaining humanity's vision for galactic relations. The morning of the ceremony, Park stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, reviewing security protocols. The Titan would escort the diplomatic shuttle to the meeting point, a visible reminder of why the consortium had agreed to negotiate. The Defiance and Vigilance would maintain positions around Earth, ensuring no unexpected threats emerged during the vulnerable moment. "All systems ready, Commander," his executive officer reported. "The diplomatic shuttle has launched from Earth. We are cleared to escort." Park nodded, watching the small shuttle appear on his tactical display. Inside that tiny vessel sat the representatives who would formalize humanity's place among the stars. The weight of the moment settled on him. 10 years of secret work, billions of credits invested, thousands of people maintaining perfect secrecy. all leading to this day. The signing ceremony took place aboard a neutral platform constructed specifically for the event. Representatives from the Vrin Collective attended as observers, along with delegations from 7 other major powers. Everyone wanted to witness how the consortium would handle this unprecedented situation. Vex Thor arrived first, his formal diplomatic robes concealing his lingering discomfort with the entire proceeding. Rothkor accompanied him, standing rigid in military dress. The warrior had accepted their situation with professional grace, but his pride still stung from being outmaneuvered by a species the consortium had dismissed as primitive. Ambassador Lee entered the chamber with Park at his side. The contrast was deliberate. Lee represented human diplomacy and reason. Park represented human strength and determination. Together, they embodied Earth's approach to galactic civilization. Willing to cooperate. Ready to defend. The treaty documents floated in holographic form above the central table. Legal experts from both sides had spent weeks refining language, ensuring every clause was clear and equitable. Earth gained full sovereignty, equal expansion rights, and access to galactic markets. The consortium received most favored trading status, embassy rights, and human cooperation in maintaining regional stability. Neither side subjugated the other. Both sides benefited from cooperation. Lee and Vex Thor signed simultaneously, their marks appearing in light across the holographic document. Witnessing delegations recorded the event, making it official across hundreds of star systems. Humanity was no longer alone and vulnerable. They were recognized partners in galactic civilization. Minister Choi's message was broadcast immediately after the signing. Today marks not an ending, but a beginning. Earth joins the galactic community as an equal member, with all the rights and responsibilities that status entails. We bring to this community our unique perspective, shaped by thousands of years of human experience. We have known war and learned the value of peace. We have faced division and built unity. We have encountered limitation and pushed beyond it through innovation and determination. She paused, ensuring her words were heard clearly across light years of space. We ask nothing except fair treatment and mutual respect. We offer partnership to any species willing to engage honestly. And we promise this: humanity will stand against aggression, protect the vulnerable, and work toward a galaxy where strength serves justice rather than exploitation. The message resonated across multiple civilizations. Some species saw humanity as potential allies. Others viewed them as potential threats. All recognized that galactic politics had shifted significantly. After the ceremony, Park stood with Lee on the observation deck of the Prometheus, watching Earth through the viewport. The planet looked peaceful from this distance, blue and green and beautiful. It was hard to imagine that this world had been threatened with subjugation only weeks ago. We succeeded, Lee said quietly. We secured Earth's independence. We secured the beginning of independence, Park corrected. The consortium accepted our terms, but other powers are watching now. Some will want to test us. Others will want to recruit us. We cannot relax our vigilance. Lee smiled slightly. Always the military perspective. But you are right. This is just the first step. Over the following months, Earth's relationship with the galaxy evolved rapidly. The Vrin Collective established formal diplomatic relations, impressed by humanity's principled stand and grateful for a potential ally against the aggressive Hakesh Empire. Trade agreements formed with independent systems eager for access to human resources and technology. Even the Hakesh sent cautious diplomatic overtures, recognizing humanity as a power worth cultivating rather than antagonizing. The Titans became symbols of Earth's determination and capability. The Prometheus patrolled human space regularly, its presence reassuring to Earth's citizens and sobering to potential threats. The Defiance and Vigilance rotated assignments, ensuring at least 2 Tangent-class warships were always operational. Construction continued on additional vessels, though at a slower pace now that the immediate threat had passed. Commander Park received promotion to Fleet Admiral, taking command of Earth's expanding naval forces. His first assignment was to oversee construction of the fourth Titan, while establishing patrol routes that would protect human expansion into new systems. The work never ended. Each success brought new challenges. 6 months after the treaty signing, Earth received an invitation that surprised everyone. 2 minor species, the Kelnar and the Thros, were locked in a territorial dispute that threatened to escalate into war. Both sides requested human mediation, specifically because of Earth's demonstrated willingness to stand firm against intimidation. The Unified Council debated the request. Intervening in alien disputes carried risks, but it also represented an opportunity to demonstrate humanity's values and build reputation beyond military capability. Minister Choi advocated for accepting. We cannot just be known for our warships. We need to show the galaxy who we are through our actions. If we can help prevent unnecessary conflict, we should try. Earth sent a diplomatic mission led by Ambassador Lee, supported by a small military contingent for security. The negotiations were difficult. Both species, deeply entrenched in historical grievances, but Lee's patient approach and genuine desire to find fair solutions eventually broke through. After 3 weeks of intense discussion, the Kelnar and Thros signed a border agreement that satisfied both sides. The success enhanced Earth's reputation significantly. Other species began seeing humanity not just as powerful, but as wise and fair. Requests for diplomatic assistance increased. Earth became known as honest brokers who sought genuine solutions rather than advancing their own interests. Admiral Park took the Prometheus on its first deep space exploration mission, mapping new systems beyond human-controlled space. The mission's goal was scientific discovery and potential colony site identification. But everyone knew the Titan's presence also served as a statement. Humanity was expanding, and they had the capability to protect their explorers. The ship's advanced sensors discovered 3 uninhabited systems with Earth-compatible planets. Survey teams deployed, collecting data that would help plan future colonization. Park walked the bridge during these operations, remembering when humanity had struggled to establish a single mining colony in their own asteroid belt. Now they planned settlements dozens of light-years from home. On the return journey, the Prometheus detected a distress signal from a civilian trading vessel. Pirates were attacking, demanding cargo, and threatening to take slaves. Park ordered immediate intervention. The Titan arrived in system, and its mere presence ended the attack instantly. The pirates fled at faster-than-light speed, unwilling to face a warship that outclassed their entire raiding fleet. The grateful traders spread word of humanity's intervention across merchant networks. Earth gained reputation as protectors of peaceful commerce, willing to use their strength to defend the innocent. More trade agreements followed, and human ships found welcome in ports that had previously been neutral or hostile. A year after the treaty signing, Earth held ceremonies commemorating the anniversary. The Unified Council reflected on how much had changed. Humanity had gone from isolated and threatened to recognized and respected. They had built relationships with dozens of species. They had prevented conflicts, protected civilians, and demonstrated that power could serve justice. Admiral Park stood on the bridge of the Prometheus during the anniversary celebration, receiving messages of congratulation from across the fleet. His crew had performed flawlessly throughout the year, maintaining readiness while representing Earth with professionalism. He was proud of what they had accomplished, but he also knew the work continued. Other Tangent-class warships were being completed. New colonies required protection. Diplomatic relationships needed constant attention. The galaxy remained unpredictable, full of species with different values and competing interests. Minister Choi addressed the anniversary gathering with words that captured humanity's journey and future. We entered the galaxy expecting to find our place through adaptation and learning. Instead, we made our place through determination and strength. But strength alone is never enough. We must also demonstrate wisdom, compassion, and commitment to principles that transcend survival. She looked out at the assembled representatives from Earth and allied species. The Titans guard our space, but they are tools, not solutions. True security comes from building relationships, establishing trust, and proving through consistent action that humanity deserves respect not just for our capabilities, but for our character. That work never ends. Each generation must earn humanity's place among the stars through their choices and actions. Admiral Park watched the ceremony from the Prometheus, Earth visible through the viewport. The planet that had once been threatened now stood secure, its people free to dream and explore. The Titans patrolled silently, guardians ensuring that freedom continued. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Never assume apparent weakness reflects actual capability. And humanity had learned an equally important lesson. Strength earns respect. But character determines whether that respect becomes genuine partnership or merely cautious distance. The future remained uncertain, full of challenges and opportunities. But Earth faced that future as equals among the stars, prepared to defend their independence while working toward genuine cooperation. The Titans represented humanity's determination to stand strong. What humanity built beyond the Titans would determine their true legacy.